What's up, everyone? Today's interview is with Mr. Weiss. He's a representative from the Pittsburgh Institute of Aeronautics. Now, they're a two-year trade school specializing in the aeronautics field. Now, he's going to walk you through exactly what homeschooling families have to do to get accepted into it, but as well, he's going to touch on what traits need to be in this field, what are some things we can do right now in our daily lives to get them set up to find success. If your kid's a mechanical individual, they like working with their hands, they like learning new things, this is a perfect conversation for you guys. I hope you enjoy it. I'll see you inside. All right, Mr. Brandon, are you ready, my man?
I am ready. Let's do it.
All right, so if you could just go ahead and give us just a little bit of background, who you are, what you're kind of going to be talking on today, but kind of as well as how you fell into this field.
Absolutely. My name is Brandon Weiss with PIA, the Pittsburgh Institute of Aeronautics. I've had the wonderful blessing of being able to be involved in post-secondary education for nearly 20 years, which for me provides a wonderful element of empowerment. That's really what gets me up in the morning, to be able to empower and change lives for the better. We just had an open house across all four of our campuses this past Saturday. I was at our Hagerstown, Maryland location. And what I always think about on those mornings is, yes, the student I'm going to reach, that life, whether changing careers coming out of high school and how it can ultimately lead to that lucrative future, but just as much so, that future that someone is excited about. Instead of fearful over, it brings excitement into their heart. And then I think of the ripple effects that spills over into their future potential spouse, children, family, and how when someone walks through their life with a true enjoyment for their employment that an education can lead to, how it changes everything. Not only the fact that they can sustain and provide for their family, but how they interact with the world. So years ago, when I got involved in this, I actually had a chance to travel the country even as a seminar, educational and motivational speaker. That was my goal. Because although I wish there was, I also wish there wasn't. There's not one set course for a successful, happy life. What could work for one would be a nightmare career for another, and vice versa. And that's where a little bit of the exploration and empowerment through exploration comes in. And that's what I try to provide, trying my whole career to be a flashlight to opportunities for people to share through my eyes some of what I've walked down and what I've been blessed to be able to see and experience, to see if it sparks in them that same passion.
Man, I love that. Could you just list the four campuses where each one is for us?
Absolutely. We began in Pittsburgh in 1929, one of the oldest aviation maintenance schools in the world. Now in the 2000s, we began to expand out. Hagerstown, Maryland, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and Youngstown, Ohio are our three branch campuses.
Okay, okay. Heck yeah. And then I mean, obviously I can hear the passion in your voice, and I love that. I'm a very excited guy myself. And were you, when you were doing this, was this you always interested in aviation, or was this something you kind of fell into?
Great question, David. And I sent that same element of you, that enthusiasm and that good energy. As I mentioned, I had a background in post-secondary education, got involved a little bit in the trades, had a family background in aviation. Yes, so my grandma was one of the first female technicians and engineers at Lockheed Martin.
Wow. Okay.
So
Okay.
we see more and more and more women get involved in this field now. Our CEO of PIA is a woman, and that's wonderful to see. And the fact that she was a trailblazer, we actually have a series now, Trailblazers, about women doing amazing things in this industry. And not to highlight solely women, but the industry is available to everyone. And that's what gave me a peek in through my grandma. There were certain things she'd tell me, but at Lockheed Martin, there were certain things she couldn't tell me. She had classified elements of what she was working on. My uncle became a private pilot later on in life, so I always had that aviation tie together. And as I was traveling the country doing seminars, motivational speaking, educational and company seminars, it just became a perfect partnership with PIA. They're a nonprofit educational institution. So to take what I was doing and provide this potential path that can lead to lucrative careers. I mean, experienced technicians making in the six-figure and beyond range as they work through the industry. But not only that, almost everyone I run across is liking what they do. And these combinations is what drew me from what I was doing previously into the aviation aerospace educational world.
Now today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Mr. Brandon here has blessed us with a presentation. Um, a couple things that I want to note before we get going for the parents that are watching is just how exciting this field really is. I feel like where it's you have everything from being the pilot, right, of the airplane, all the way down to, like he said, the technicians, and you can still make life-changing money that you can provide a great life for your family. And as you can tell, people are happy doing this. So if you want to go ahead and just kind of get into that presentation, I think you can screen record on your side and or not screen record, you can screen share and we'll jump into it. Then I'll hit you with the questions at the end a little bit more. We can go a little deeper.
David, that sounds perfect. I'll go ahead and share my screen because as much as I'm going to try to paint pictures with words for you today, nothing compares truly to me being able to show you some visuals, insight into my industry, really. Not only that, but some of the success stories and the people, because that's you just a couple years ahead of you. As I mentioned, nonprofit educational institution founded in 1929. We luckily covered some of that just before, but no matter how much you love PIA, we're a bridge, really a bridge between where you might stand today and where you ultimately want to go in aviation, aerospace, robotics, and beyond technology as our grads get involved with all of those. And that's what I'll provide today. I would love to show you some of our grads and the success stories that they've come by becoming those, next step level paths into the industry. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up some of.
Take your time, old man. Take your time.
What's very nice about PIA and the demand right now that goes on is there are opportunities for students right out of school. And while they progress through their career, by all means, their first jobs, some of them are dream jobs, and that's very nice. Zach Duncan graduated in December 2023. His first job at a PA was for a company called Amentum, working on Air Force Two. So his first job at a PA was working on the vice president's aircraft. Pretty honorable, wonderful day in the life, or day at work, I should say. Katie Lloyd, our program is only 16 to 20 months. So came in right out of high school, graduated at 19, and talked about our open house. She did open house with me as an ambassador, but 2 years ago, she just recently got voted Aviation Pros 40 under 40, an amazing recognition where they vote 40 aviation technicians under 40 years old doing big things.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? We were so proud of her. What she did is started Katie Did Aviation LLC. I mentioned my uncle being a private pilot. Well, he needs a team to oversee that aircraft. That's what we do at PIA, train aviation technicians, those who certify aircraft as safe to fly, whatever that aircraft may be. Katie's company does that. So, David, if I ever spark that interest in you and you are able to get that plane for yourself and you're not flying commercially, you're flying privately, taking that trip, wherever you want, she would work on your plane to make sure it's safe and good to go. Liz, her ultimate dream, and what I love about this is dreamed realized, was to work at SpaceX. Liz's first job out of school was at SpaceX, working on their Raptor engines. So what I want to mention here is, if you have the will, we have the way. You don't need any mechanical or technical experience. We were founded on the cornerstone that if you're passionate and excited, we can give you everything that you need to know to be successful in this industry. Chris Hoffman started at SpaceX and moved on to be the director of launch operations at Astra Aerospace. Some people want to have their hands on aircraft their entire career. Some want to move up into base manager or director positions, and you have that availability. What I love about homeschool programs is they have a chance for a little bit of flexibility and navigation to explore passions, to take care of what they have to take care of, and learn things that really are exciting for that student. That's what we're looking for. That's how you prepare for our program. You can't go work on an aircraft, a rocket, or a helicopter where you're at, but you can use YouTube. And if you're excited about it, that's the kind of student that I want to learn and we can work with. We have had gold and silver ranked military friendly rankings over the past years. Grant Long went from PIA to be a Black Hawk crew chief. If you go to PIA and enter the military, you enter in as an E3 ranked position. Wonderful opportunity. While we do also have grads who are coming from military service, honor that every day, always, especially an extra after Veterans Day we just had this week. But to work on the commercial side, you still need the license we provide. So some students come before, enter the military, some come after. Speaking of service in a different sense, Michelle Beatty won Civilian Technician of the Year for her work at the Maryland State Police Department. And why I share this, David and Beth, is sometimes when we think of aviation, we think of American Airlines, United, Delta. We have connections with all of those, the big three and beyond. But we don't always think about these side fields, how aviation saves lives, working for the helicopters of state police departments, Maryland just being one of them. In a different sense, one of our grads, Greg, who works at Stat Medevac, using aviation to save lives, medical transport, and all these different paths that are available. Here's a wonderful story that I want to share with you. His name is Derek. Derek I met years ago at his high school, CTC High School. I spoke to him as a junior. I came back as a senior. I do presentations just like this in person as well. And he came up to me after and said, I heard you speak last year. It changed my life. I told my family about this. I'm excited about this path. Can we take a selfie? I want to show my family. I was telling him about, so not the oddest request. I get this sometimes. Sure, Derek, let's take this selfie. I don't really, just nice little moment we shared, share his family. Flash forward, he enrolls at PIA Myrtle Beach. That's a picture of him in the bottom, me and Derek at our PIA Myrtle Beach lobby. 2 weeks ago, I'm at an event at Harrisburg International Airport at Piedmont Airlines. Derek, a PIA graduate, a licensed aviation technician, and got his schooling at PIA paid for. I'll talk about that in just a moment, but how quickly from me meeting Derek 2 years ago with the accelerated nature of our 16 to 20 month programs that he's a success story in the industry. Oh, and I should mention, talk about Derek telling his family about me. Maybe you want it tonight. Maybe you'll be able to share with family and friends, but you'll probably want to share this one. If you work in commercial aviation, you, your spouse, your children, and your parents fly for free. Anywhere in the world, as much as you want. So for some of you, aviation is all over the country and world. It provides opportunity for you to stay where you grew up and have job opportunities there, but still see the whole world. For some of you, it provides opportunities to work somewhere else than you grew up, still see the world, but use those flight hours to travel back home at a much higher rate than someone else could. Maybe just for a weekend, fly there and back. Love that empowerment into who we are at PIA, because behind every aircraft is the people. And that's why I started the way I did there, David. I want you to know that behind everything that we see that flies are the amazing individuals that make it possible. And PIA grads are qualified to work on planes, jets, drones, helicopters, blimps, rockets, you name it. We've had so many grads go on to work at NASA that we actually have a NASA Learjet on campus that students get to work on. I'll show you that just coming up. I mentioned SpaceX, Lockheed Martin, real life Top Gun, not part of our military, but working on military level fighter jets and elements of that nature, some with even classified credentials where they can't even share what they're talking about. So you talk about cutting edge, they're like 10 years ahead of cutting edge in what they're doing right now. Every airline you could imagine as well. I mentioned our campuses. We do have 4 different locations depending what you choose to do, and slightly different programs between our main campus and branch campuses. But every single one of our campuses, what we're built on and based off is hands-on education. Learning by doing, living out the lessons you learn, experiencing your education on actual aircraft. So that's what our students do. 80, 90% of the time, they're in our hangars, touching, interacting, learning on aircraft. This properly prepares them for the industry, but also has them excited about their education, because it's not like you want to work on aircraft, hurry up and wait and you'll get there soon. No, you're doing it in a safe, fail-forward sense right on our campus, preparing you for the industry. Another tie together to homeschools is our small class environment. We're a small but growing nonprofit, so our student to teacher ratio is 20 to 1, and that's not going to change dramatically. We're on wait list, but we won't overload classes. We want each student to be able to interact with aircraft and interact with their teacher in a sense of being a mentor, a teacher and a mentor. And that's what the small class sizes really lend themselves to. you'll actually go through your entire PIA program with the same class of students. So a little different than a four-year school where each time you have a class, it's with a new group. Nothing wrong with that, but at PIA, we create this bonded element of this team of individuals, because aviation is all about teamwork and aerospace and beyond, going through together. So they get that right at the beginning. Since 2018, we're Forbes #1 two-year trade school based off many factors. How much our students earn, the quality of our education, the long-running legacy. And while I'm very proud of that, that's something that greases the wheels for our students to get 6, 8, 10 job offers, sometimes before they're even done with PIA, because of the demand of the industry and them standing on the shoulders of the grads who have come before them. Doesn't end there. The credential we provide, a Federal Aviation Administration airframe and power plant certification, and or a National Center for Aerospace Transportation Technology license. That's a lot of words. We say A&P license or NCAT, makes it a little easier. I kind of went through that tongue twister there, but that qualifies students into graduates to work on anything that moves mechanically. Cruise ships, robotics, submarines, roller coasters. We call these alternative technologies, robotics. Most of our grads want to work on aircraft, helicopters, rockets, you name it. But it's nice to know they're qualified and they're getting offers even beyond that to work on anything that moves mechanically. Nice to be qualified or overqualified. We have a very active social media. If some of you are reaching on social media right now, nothing compares to a tour. But what I love about our social media, it's like a visual course catalog. You can see behind the scenes of what it looks like to train to be an aviation technician, that one who removes all the obstacles between aircraft and them achieving successful flight in a training sense. So by all means, check us out on that. What I'll invite you to do now is step into my world, because it by all means could be your world as well. Corporate aviation, flying private jets for different companies. One element that we kind of touched on, away from the hustle and bustle of commercial aviation, working on beautiful aircraft, some of my favorite, like a Learjet. Commercial aviation, which I should mention, private hangars, when we fly as a customer and passenger, looks very different than the tucked away private hangar element of commercial aviation, working on those aircraft so that can happen. There's me with American Airlines, some of their aircraft, the flight deck you'll see where a lot of the avionics takes place, as well as me and our CEO, who I mentioned, Suzanne Markle. I had a chance to be and speak at Aerospace Day, hosted by the Lieutenant Governor at the state capitol just last spring. Huge incentive by the state of Pennsylvania and really the nation as a whole to continue to have our country be a leader in aerospace. We've seen more launches, a record number set of launches in this last year than we saw in any previous year combined, much less in the last year alone. And that'll only continue. So aerospace continues to grow as an option for our students to explore. Always has been there, but just with the amazing, pun intended, takeoff of reusable rockets. I showed you Chris Hoffman before. He actually worked on the Falcon 9. That was that game changer, that rocket that went up and could land. And we didn't have to discard the whole rocket like we did years ago, which made rocket launches so expensive and so difficult. And now the landable rockets that we see NASA, SpaceX, Blue Origin using is the big game changer. What I have right there is our industry physically symbolized, removed before flight tag. You'll see this on aircraft, and we say we train aviation technicians. So some of our grads go to get their pilot's license, but I should be clear, we don't train pilots at PIA. We train aviation technicians, but a lot of our grads choose to go into the private pilot aviation path. If you're excited about aviation, that's a great divergent path. Do I want to be the commercial pilot or the aviation technician? Both in high demand, both have extreme financial lucrative natures to them involved. Big element of our grads, a lot of times they want to be the one working on the aircraft and can still fly if they choose. Commercial aviation is wonderful, but sometimes just the nature of it, you're away from your family for depending 4 days, week, 2 weeks at a time. So some of our grads like it that they're going to work and going home every day and can still have the free flight benefits as opposed to traveling. But for you, maybe that is exciting to travel for work and be away for those periods of time while flying. Wonderful to look into and amazing opportunities as well, and even point you in some of the directions for either. When I'm not speaking to you all, trying to do different events connecting us to the industry, and one is raising money for scholarships. We give away many scholarships at PIA personally. We also have many affiliated scholarships. The Micro Trade Education Scholarship is actually available to any trade education. And my team, regardless if you end up coming to PIA, would be happy to point you in the direction to help win this potentially, as well as many affiliated scholarships that we work with. Beyond a scholarship I'm very proud of, Piedmont Airlines is part of American Airlines. We all have heard of American. Piedmont is a regional carrier. So I might buy a ticket from Philadelphia to Texas, but I have to fly to Charlotte first. I might actually fly on Piedmont Airlines and not even know it. They operate American Airlines aircraft and operate some of the connecting flights for American Airlines. What they've done is got together with my school and provided a tuition payment program. What does that mean? That means that they will award out to students interested in attending our Hagerstown, Maryland or Myrtle Beach campus full tuition paid. They'll pay their entire tuition, which for our branch campuses is about $30,000. Not a semester, the entire cost of the program. They'll give them a $7,000 fully loaded Sonic toolbox, and they'll offer them employment as soon as they finish at PIA with them at Piedmont Airlines. Great opportunity to explore. By all means, want everyone to look into it. Whether you get that or not, we have so many amazing opportunities for you to look into when it comes to scholarships, whether it's a full tuition payment program or stacking scholarships, a $5,000, a $10,000, a $1,000, and up to $1,000 a semester. PIA will match those scholarships. Again, just that further empowerment of wanting to work with you in the industry as much as we can. No matter how much you know, maybe we say family legacies in aviation. Maybe dad, mom, uncle, brother all work in aviation, and they taught you everything they know. You still can't work on aircraft without that legal credential. It's like the license for driving a car. Everything I mentioned, that's the gateway to Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, airframe and power plant license and certification. It's available in 16 months at our branch campuses or 20 months at our main campus. The only difference is our main campus offers an associate in specialized technology, 4 months of general ed. Great path to go into to get that associate's degree. Some want to get involved in, I just want to come in, get into the aviation and get that license. One isn't better than the other, just like the locations, just like careers, just different paths depending on one's wants. Aviation maintenance, if I had to say, is the physicality of the aircraft. Wings, landing gear, propulsion systems. What makes it go? What makes it land? What makes it soar? The muscle of the aircraft, if you will, the bulk. If that's the bulk, then avionics is the brains. And I don't mean you have to be any smarter, but radar, flight control, navigation, all the elements that allow an aircraft to take off, to fly, to operate safely. And we offer that at our main campus in Pittsburgh in 20 months, Associate in Specialized Technology degree program certified by NCAT. So if avionics, you're that gamer, that coder, video gaming, technology, both programs have it, but maybe avionics is a field you want to get into. And you'll get some aviation maintenance in your avionics program and some avionics and aviation maintenance crossover, but it's really which your specialty would be that will ultimately boil down to, I think, for you. We don't have any sports teams at PIA in the traditional football, basketball, baseball sense, but what we do have is our aerospace competition team. This is amazing if you don't know about it. Whether this is right for you or not, something really cool to check out. You can find it on our social media. You could Google, you could YouTube, aerospace maintenance competition. Last year, I had the blessing of being in Atlanta for it. I've been in Chicago. This year, I'll be in Orlando. David, coming back around your area. Every year, it's different host city, like the Super Bowl. Last year, you'll see some of the cameras there. There were 17,000 people in attendance. 99 countries represented. It's not just colleges. PIA is the only school that sends all 4 teams from all 4 campuses. So we're one PIA family, but at this, PIA Pittsburgh's going against PIA Youngstown, PIA Myrtle Beach. Delta Airlines is there competing against American. The military is there competing against the Canadian military. It is a worldwide celebration of aviation and aerospace. Competitions held over the course of a week that students get to shine a light on their skills. It was live streamed to hundreds of thousands of people this past year, and it's just a great glorification of our industry. Just like the athlete gets to show his skills off on a football field, the theater kid on a stage, This is our students' chance, one of many, to, before they're even in the industry, have their family literally tune in and cheer them on. And just an awesome opportunity that they get to take on. We have a full trailer on our website that you can by all means check out and see a little bit into.
Four PIA teams participated in the competition with a
What I love to do at PIA, I got into this trend. I don't know if you've seen this on social media, if any of you did, but making action figures of yourself with what you enjoy. Saw this, people get on this. So, of course, as the passion field that it is, I had to get on and spend a night or two on ChatGPT, really working the kinks out of making this for our students. Those are some of our students' faces. We call them heroes of aviation, aerospace, and they absolutely are. They're surgeons of aircraft, performing the surgery on aircraft that allow them to safely fly. They're detectives of aircraft. What went wrong and how can I fix it? So as a nonprofit, this is one of the things my team will send out to students, but to prospective students, maybe to you. Maybe you're like, never considered this before. We'll send you fun 500-word, easy read blogs on what is supersonic flight, what's the future of aerospace, what's a remove before flight tag, all these different elements of the industry. I would love to have my team work with you on that. And what I'll share right here, if you want, you can by all means, go on that address, pia.edu/learn more, or you can just scan that QR code. Let me do that just in case that's in there for that. Pause the video if you want, scan that QR code. What that's going to do is let my team know that you want us to reach out to you. Doesn't mean you're ready to enroll. It could be as simple as a question. And what I love, it's weird I have to say this nowadays, but if you get a text from us, it's a real person. You can text them back. They'll text you back. You know what I mean? It might say stop if you don't want any more messages, because we don't want to bother people. We want to empower them. But if you text them back, it's always going to be that same person. So the first time if you interact with Shane, Shane is going to be your guy for questions, for financial aid, for tours, for maybe it's just exploring. You're always going to have, so feel free. They'll call you if you want to. But text is, of course, much more popular. So people go back and forth with text all the way through their entire process. 4 times a year, we have an open house. By all means, that'll be one of the things we could invite you to if you're like, oh, this really is right for me. I would love to explore further. Private tours available anytime you want, but open houses are wonderful events. Our next one is February 21st. Like I said, we have 4 a year, one in February, one in May, one in August, and one in November. Just had one this past weekend, but great way to explore further. What I want is people to say no to our industry. And that might sound perplexing. Of course, I want people to say yes if it's right, but I want them to say no because they knew about it. The worst thing for me is if someone at 25, 30, 35, 40 years old says, I wish I would have known that was a possible path. That would have been like perfect for me. That's sad. And not that people can't and haven't. We've had people who worked on Wall Street till 40 switch and come to our program and get involved. But I want you to not have to necessarily double back and know about it. So if this sparked any level of interest in you, wonderful. Let's explore further. If not, you know what? It's still a great win today because you checked off one explore. I encourage and challenge every single person, especially at the high school level, to explore a 4-year college, a community college, and a trade school at the very least. And then once you've identified those, maybe 3 inside that, vein in that side river right there, to pick the perfect path for you, the perfect environment, and really just what that ultimately looks like. David, I know that you prepared some wonderful questions for me, specifically relating to our audience. I would love to dive into those if you see fit now.
Yes, sir. Let's go ahead and get me here so I can. Perfect. All right, a couple things while you were going that I want to touch on before we get into those questions. Let me set this up so I can go back to talking and not holding. Great presentation, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I did not know that you'd be qualified for the ships, the trains, and all that. That's really interesting to know and find out. So when I always tell kids, I was a kid who went to college. I dropped out to start a business, but I always push them to consider the trade schools, especially these days. I understand. I don't know. You said a little bit that there's a need in the industry right now. When they get there and it's 16 months, you guys are, you go about helping them find work, or is it more along the lines of you give them the qualifications and then kind of they're on their own after that?
David, that's a great question. It's a great tie together to the homeschool sense of what I believe, if it's done right, feeling supported. As a small nonprofit, not only are we going to have career fairs, not only are we going to help you get that first job, facilitate you with interviews, beyond that, resume writing, interview skills, you're going to have someone who works with you on that specifically. But it doesn't even end there, David. It's a lifelong partnership. Let's say 10 years after you left PIA, you loved your first job, but you're just different, eyeing up a different area of the country. You reach out to PIA's Career Services and we'll work with you 10, 15 years after you've graduated. Once you enter our family, you are part of that PIA family for life. So yes with the first job, but that continues all the way through their entire career path.
Man, I love that. Now with homeschooling families, I would imagine with the trade schools, what we've seen, they're going to need a transcript, a diploma. Are there any kind of qualifications? So do they have to have an SAT score of any type? What all are the qualifications that a homeschooling parent, if their kid's interested in that, could make sure they're setting them up right to succeed and go right into your program?
Another wonderful question. So we're looking for that high school diploma or GED equivalent. Obviously, you can apply and be accepted contingently before that happens. Many times students do in their senior year, knowing that that will happen, we'll say. We don't require SATs. We have a private interview process. We're going to interview that student, see if they're a good fit, if we're a good fit for them. We also have what's called our math skills assessment. So we're looking for a student to have about an Algebra 2 level of competency. If they pass our math skills assessment, wonderful. If they don't, it's not a negating factor. We'll actually provide a free catch-up course for them. And this is so everyone enters in at that same level. This gets intimidating. Aerospace math sounds a little worse than it is when it comes to measurements, but we want to make sure that everyone's coming in at that same spot. But if you've had Algebra 2 and have done decent and well in that at a high school level, normally do very well at that math skills assessment. And if not, some even pass it and still choose to take the refresher course just to set themselves up for success with that. So those are really the qualifications. Beyond, we will have a student before they can truly enroll and start tour a campus. We just believe it's absolutely essential for beyond, no matter what you want to do through us and where you want to go through us, to physically see the environment, to see if it's an environment you feel like you would fit in at and be supported at.
Now, with you guys having those 4 different locations, do you guys help with housing if somebody's maybe from a little bit too far of a way to commute? Or do you guys have dorms? How does that, what's that setup looking like for you guys?
Yes, so most of the students that I speak to in my travels are moving. It's just not necessarily applicable with the distance for them to be able to go to our schools. So yes and no. We don't have traditional dorms. What we do have is apartment complexes that one PA student moves out of and another moves in with. Yes, their admissions representative will work with them on giving them these lists, even if they want, trying to aid them in linking them up with a roommate or roommates, depending on the size of the place. For our Myrtle Beach campus, we do have an option actually to go into the Coastal Carolina dorms while attending our Myrtle Beach, which is normally the farthest that, say, if I spoke someone in the Pennsylvania area would go. But regardless with that question, little different than the traditional dorms. So housing is like a separate element of what we do. But yes, we aid and facilitate that process through every step for them.
Okay, now, so say, because like you said, homeschooling parents have that freedom to kind of set their kids up, let them chase their passions. If there's a kid who's in high school, and they think that this is the route their kid wants to go, what would you suggest they start studying so when they can kind of immerse themselves in the information, really figure out if this is going to be a lifestyle that they want to live? Is it like maybe different podcasts, books to read? What can they do to kind of show the kid and give the kid all the tools they need so they go there, they can succeed?
That's a great. For me, it's really coming in thirsty with a passion for it. And nowadays, students are so blessed with the resource that is educational, but also informative and educational, that is YouTube. So kind of as I showed you today, you can find some great behind the scenes peeks, not only into PIA, but into the industry. Day in the life at NASA, day in the life at American Airlines. Then you can even get deeper. There are some wonderful airplane facts with Max is one on social media. He's kind of a comedian, but works in the commercial aviation industry. And you can find many different accounts like this that really what it is fanning the flames of their inspiration. And in that process, they're going to soak in some facts, but it's that person that comes in excited about the material. And so if I say prep beyond, an algebra 2 level, even when it comes into beyond aviation, searching, most people go their whole life as they should with like electricity in our house. It's magic. I hit that switch and it comes on. I want the tinkerer who thinks behind that. How does it work? How does an RC car go? How does it go that fast being so small? These questions of just how things work, I guess, in our world. Train your brain to be a how things work kind of brain. When you see tech in the world, whatever it may be that you see, start to think how that would work. And as you build these pieces, like Legos of how electricity works, you'll start to put these pieces together and they'll lay a great foundation for really everything that's created in our world, all the way to planes and rockets.
I love that. Now, we touch on here in our nonprofit like the four pillars. So we got education, communication, finances, and health. But one thing we say for all four pillars is you have to have a growth mind. You have to be able to fail. You can't be scared of failing. Now, when it comes to people that you see find success in your program, what are the things that those individuals have compared to the ones that maybe don't find success there?
I've always liked this equation for success that I've used, and it kind of gets into the four pillars in a different sense. And it's passion plus positivity plus persistence equals accomplishment. And that's what I think. I think that no matter what the grind is, it is a grind, no matter how much you love it and passion for it. So one, you got to pick a path with passion, because if you have that, it comes so much more easier. But no matter how much you love it, it's the positivity, and to answer your question, the persistence. Everyone on every path throughout all of human history and success, from the Wright brothers to someone successful, you starting a business, anyone in this world, it was the persistence. There are those rocky moments, and this is true in any schooling you're going to go to, that it's going to take that positivity to pull you through. So the students that succeed in our program are the ones that are determined too. And what's nice about PIA, we have free tutoring through our entire program. When it comes to take that time for that, let's say, FAA license and credential, for talking about that program, we will have a instructor work with that student. Let's just say, not speaking that into existence, but sometimes students don't pass it on the first try. Takes them a time or two or three. That teacher will work with them until they pass it. So what I always say is fail forward. Sometimes there is those failure points, but it's only when a student doesn't succeed at PIA when they say, I quit. Because you're going to be supported. No one is ever going to quit on you. So the persistence element, I think, is the greatest. And we see this all the way to aerospace. I say, we see SpaceX doing big things nowadays with NASA. They had those three failures, and people, sometimes forget or aren't aware of this. But if that fourth one didn't succeed, it was kind of like money is out. This is push this off for 20 years. Not we'll try it again as humans. So never failing forward is a wonderful element. And that's what we provide, a safe element at PIA for students to have that, we've heard first attempt in learning, fourth attempt in learning, if you will, is fail. Never be embarrassed about that. That's something that comes along. I think embracing that is actually part of the process of really becoming a learner.
So when it comes, you kind of touched on it a little bit during the presentation, but when it comes to a person that's going to see, you said you had the brains, you had the muscle right behind it. What kind of would be the separator for homeschooling parent is their kids interested in it? What could be like the separator they see to kind of start recognizing, hey, he's going to be more of the brains or she's going to be more of the muscle? What are the kind of differences in the personality, or can they all merge together and it's just kind of whatever interest you allows you to fall on the one that you like?
I would probably go towards the latter of what you said. It really is what interests them. We've had students who have grown up working on cars in their garage that have gone into avionics because it just they enjoyed it more. We've had students who, and I love shattering stigmas. Sometimes we think of an aircraft technician or mechanic as this big muscular gearhead, which is a wonderful, many of our students. Then we also have the student that you would say, oh, that person's going to get involved in finance, or more of like a gamer. They love gaming, and they'll get involved in aviation maintenance. So that's the nice thing about what our program provides. It's not really the background or type, but I would definitely say any kind of interest in technology. Now, some of technology, as we know, is a benefit to be avoided and to be limited in our world. And it's just like certain foods we eat. So I'm not saying you have to be that person that is addicted to technology, but an interest in technology, a healthy interest in technology would be a good baseline for what we do.
Okay, so another thing we like to kind of preach to the kids is be an innovator within your field. You want to always be trying to work to kind of gain more, push everything, push that boundary, keep driving forward. When it comes to your school and your trade school, how do you guys would that be a quality you're looking for, or is it when this job something that you need to know the book and you're not really looking to push and make advancements in the field? If I'm making any sense with that question.
I think it depends on the organization. So I'll start with the baseline. When it comes to working on commercial aviation, say, there are manuals and there are protocols, and these are put forth by the FAA. And not to intimidate people, but like lives hang in the hands. But we have something called the human factor. The best quarterback throws interceptions. The
Yep.
best person makes mistakes. I misspeak no matter how much I train. Humans make mistakes, and there are protocols built in to catch these mistakes, working in teams. So certain element is very regimented of like, well, I think it would be better to do it this way. Well, it's been studied and safest to do it this way, and that's why a protocol exists. But then there's elements of innovation. We've seen drones used for medical transport to actually airdrop medicine and basic antibiotics to parts of the world that people were dying off, things like that. So that element of innovation and dreaming up, depending on the organization that the individual works with, can definitely play a part. Or bringing up to individuals, oh, I think this protocol would work better. So I guess if that makes sense, there's definitely room for innovation, but it also has to be an extreme respect for the protocols and the rules that are in place, and not someone who just says, I'm going to go off to the left here and do this because I think it's better. So in the proper channels, our whole industry is built off innovation, right? People told the Wright brothers humans are never going to fly. Like, look at the birds, not going to happen. Pretty much aviation, aerospace to this day is a series of never not going to happen. Oh, wait, watch and see. And yeah, that just on a side tangent, David, if I could, sometimes like it or not, on the nightly news, we see the worst of humanity. I mean, just the flat out case of sometimes humans treating each other in the worst of ways or interacting in the worst of ways. And one thing I've always loved about aviation into aerospace, any vein you take it, is you see the best of humanity. You see when people, different races, cultures, genders, backgrounds, skill sets come together, work together for a common cause and goal, how literally we can break the laws of this world. I mean, every time a plane flies or a rocket, it defies the gravity laws of our world. And that's human intelligence, design, innovation, all coming together from the one who concepted it to the one who maintains it and still makes it possible to fly each and every time. And that's always been an aspect, going full circle to your beginning question of me, that has excited me about this industry, how it really just is a testament to some of the best qualities of collaboration and humanity.
Now, when it comes to your guys, like I said, I always push towards trade schools, and you touched on it a little bit with your presentation. But what is it that allows them to go from? I'm imagining with you guys being in aeronautics, you're working on the planes. Is it all similar to where they could go into the trains and locomotives? Is it all so similar, or is it just that they would have to go into that field and then learn something new? Or when they're there, are they learning the same exact thing that's going on with the train? I don't know if that makes total sense.
That makes absolute sense. So in our school, they're not working on submarines. They're not working on roller coasters or anything of that nature, say, just aircraft. But it's the same streamline of principles. Kind of like I mentioned, once you learn about what the electricity in your house, you start to understand how electrical workings work in other things. So what it is, there's not necessarily a true training institute for submarines. So we see these industries come and take someone who has the mechanical, technical aptitude and training to work on aircraft. Not that we tier technology, but the thought is if you're qualified to work on planes and rockets, that's kind of like the top echelon, and everything would come, in line below it. So principles that go through one go through all. Then, of course, even in commercial aviation, each airline, even in aerospace from PIA, just like any job. You could have a background in sales, but this company, this is how they do sales. You could have a background as a teacher, but homeschooling versus a Catholic school versus a public school. Each has their own different way, even they're all under that educational umbrella. And they'll have a little bit of on-site training for here's how we do things. This is our aircraft, right? There's Airbus, there's Boeing. So that'll definitely exist, but it's the streamlined principles really that those industries are attracted to, that our students get, and the theoretical foundations that would transfer over and be an easy element. Very similar to a student won't work on any cars in our program, but if they understood how a car worked, there's a lot of tie together, right? If we talk about a car, David, oh, it's an engine. Okay, the engine is what gives it go. You could easily make this relation to a plane, and that kind of is the tie together between these alternate technology areas.
Okay, so then with kind of going back to the innovation, how do you really see technology coming into play? I know it's gonna affect all of us. How do you see technology? And you already said, hey, you want to be interested in technology, you don't want to be obsessed with it. But I do think that with the way the world's moving, kids should be kind of really gearing their brain power towards learning stuff like that. So how do you see technology maybe making a big impact in the next like 5 to 10 years in that field?
Technology always has shaped the future of our field, but I say it's not like an arrow that just travels forward, or a plane, I guess would be a better analogy, at one set speed. It's more like water around a drain. And I don't mean we're going down the drain, but as it advances quicker and quicker and quicker, because one advancement innovation leads to another and another. Boom supersonic is a great example. We had the Concorde back in the day in the 80s, supersonic flight. It theoretically worked, it logistically worked, but it wasn't financially feasible to keep going. Boom Supersonic is adding that in now, so flight times will be cut in half. Some of, as I mentioned, the technology we've seen advancement in drone technologies, electric vertical takeoff vehicles, which I'm sure you could YouTube or some of us have seen in the past, just recently with their elements. 3 U.S. states have already adapted laws in preparation of flying cars that will have a flying element. So as we see these elements merge together, the Jetsons, date my reference there, or Back to the Future coming into actual play, yeah, it's kind of adapt and adjust or be left behind with that. And one thing I always say with technology, I think it's important for us as humanity to be the guardians of it. And what I mean is, things aren't inherently technology when it comes to that. It's not inherently good or evil. It's the hands that it's in. So I make the, excuse my blunt analogy here, but a baseball bat. It could be used to injure someone or to start a little league that trains people on some amazing lessons for life. The bat isn't good or bad. The bat is the hands that it's in and what it's being used for. And that's something that I think, when done in the proper ways for the advancement and blessing of humanity, technology is something that aids lives, benefits lives, and can save lives. Robotics, we talked about. There are robotical surgical arms that they don't replace doctors. It's not instead of a doctor, but those were high-risk surgeries before, that now you can come home a day later and the success rate is 98% because a human hand is only so steady. So as tools that can change things from that being a risky surgery to a safe surgery, and that's just one of many examples. That's where the advancement of technology, I think, is so beneficial for us as humanity. And I think this generation entering it, they see it all around them. Being able to have an education in that, in most fields, is either essential or, at the very least, even beyond my field, a huge benefit in adding it into what they're going to do, whatever it may be.
I love that. Now you talked a little bit about that blog that you said you would send out, and I would love to, Miss Beth, for us to kind of get that. Would you guys mind if, before we can kind of start pushing them there, that if you send it to us, we could maybe forward it to our parents that are on the email list, and that way, if they're interested, they can kind of subscribe to it, because whether or not their kid's going to be interested in it, I think that's something that, as a homeschooling parent, I believe it's our job to immerse our kids around all different types of information. Those little lessons like that and little things that are going on could be the spark for a kid that maybe gets him going in this field and finds a passion that he didn't even know he had.
The simple answer is yes, absolutely. So what's nice too is they are housed right on our website. I will send
perfect.
you all the link.
Yes,
When I
please.
talk about our reps, when someone is actively involved in us, when you say subscribe, so let's say they're working with, I use Shane or Miss Barbara, she will, when we have new ones that come out, they'll send them a new one. So, but at any time we have this resource available on our website that a student can go on and really just dive through and explore themselves on the different blogs that are available.
Yeah, I would love to have that so they can have access. Because I think, especially from what you've been saying too, I think there's a, if you think back to kids that I grew up with that were just either building diesel trucks, you know what I mean, the RC cars, whatever it is, that this is a field that you really can make good money in. And also it's something that it takes that you have that hands-on actually where you're good with your hands, but it also requires you to be good with your brain as well. So I think it's a field that I would love to drive as many people there as possible. So I definitely, if you could send us those links, man, I would love that.
I will absolutely do that, David. I'll send that to you and you could send it out to your team. If I could share once more. So PIA.edu, wonderful website resource. You'll see so much here from some resources. Love our media hub. So right here, you'll see publications, but our AMT blog, and this we're going to send out. I just thought it'd be fun to give a preview. You asked what they could do to prepare. What is an avionics technician? Some family legacies in aviation. Some are fun aspect. What are eVTOL vehicles? So you could find this stuff by all means online. But we've just created a nice little resource where you can just dive in and let's just click on one to see what I mean. They're not meant to be super encompassing, fun visual images, really short reads with little images to see. So that's that entire blog. Short, fast, quick intake, meant to be exciting, and then people can dive deeper into if they choose. But you'll kind of get that in each one in the different visual sense. And also, by all means, if you liked what I shared with the graduates on YouTube, we have graduate testimonials. Graduates who've gone on to Boeing, SpaceX, you name it, some that I shared, and many, many more. And what's nice about that is you can hear directly from them, their time at PIA, what they're doing in the industry. Another wonderful fan the flames of inspiration or excitement resource.
I love that. Miss Beth, do you have any questions before we kind of wrap up here?
I don't, but I just wanted to say that was wonderful. The whole time I just kept saying, wow, that presentation was very good. You did a great
Yeah, you
job.
killed it. You killed it, man, for
That
sure.
was wonderful. Thank you very much.
Before we head out, do you have anything, any last words you want to share with the families? Anything else you want to bring up? Any other resources or anything like that?
I would love to. I just have a very quick closing response. Beth and David, thank you. It is a wonderful blessing to be around other individuals that clearly have such a care and passion for people. And in this case, the youth, we say the next generation of aviation and aerospace, but just the next generation. And that's my parting advice for anyone who hears this, whether this is right for you or not, a decision that you will thank yourself for later, that your potential future spouse will thank you for, whether they know it or not, your children will thank you for, is choosing a career that you like. Yes, that can support your family. Yes, you want to be in demand. But if you have that level of passion and enjoyment, there's always that, perhaps difficult, sometimes cold, depending where we're at, Monday morning where work is a grind. But if overall the arc is, I'm excited, and that's what I hear from our students. Not today I had to. They'll share with their girlfriend, mom, whatever it is. Today I got to. That change in phrase, if that's the kind of life you can live, that leads itself to the pillars of success, that happy personally, happy professionally. And when all that meshes together, that, in my opinion, creates the empowered individual that lives the kind of life I would want for everyone, that happy and successful, and success being deemed in multiple areas, not just financial, but all the different areas that make up a truly successful life.
Man, I love that. Would you mind if I grab a quick screenshot? We usually share with us all waving on the Instagram.
Oh, of course, yeah.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect, perfect. Mr. Brandon, thank you so much for your time again.
Yes.
And we'll make sure we include all of those links. I just love the presentation, man. You got me fired up, dude. And I'm gonna try with all those things, and with Miss Beth being so close too. I'm gonna see if maybe we can get some people over there at the next open house. Now, quick thing, that Orlando event, I would love to attend. Now, is this something that's open. You said open to spectators, right? If I want to come in and just kind of walk around and see what's going on.
I would love that, David. If you do attend as a spectator, I will get you behind the scenes. I'll send you the link for that as well. So kind of a unique one. Like I said, it's not always in Orlando, but it will be. It's the third week of April this year. Along with the other links, I'll just send you that as well.
You're the man, dude. Thank you. I'll see that. I'll make sure I'm there. That's awesome, man.
Look,
Thank you so much.
You're gonna love it. It is miles. They build a town inside a convention center. It is just tremendous. You're gonna see some of the newest technology in aviation. The competition's one side, then they have the entire MROs America. So people just talking about innovation and different elements. I think you'll get a real good kick and enjoyment out of it.
Will do, my man. Can't wait to see you there, dude. Thank you so much again.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Yes, sir.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.